When NBA free agency first began, the excitement ensued, with countless signings getting announced left and right, seeing some incredibly impactful players find new homes for the foreseeable future, and along with that, we also saw quite a few big trades get announced where some of the best players in the league were on the move. However, since those first couple days, things have died down a bit on that front, but that doesn't mean that all of the change is over, as there are still plenty of trades coming on the horizon, and that's exactly what Bleacher Report theorized in one of their most recent articles. Today, we'll be looking at this article published by them, where they proposed a few hypothetical trades featuring some of the best players available on the market that they think could change everything, and as always, I'll be going through each one, analyzing whether or not they are realistic, why or why not each team involved would want to do it, and who would win the trade if it were to go through. If you want to read the actual article itself, that will also be linked in the description. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first proposed trade in the article is between the Toronto Raptors and the Indiana Pacers, and in it the Pacers ship out Myles Turner in exchange for Precious Achiuwa, Khem Birch, Malachi Flynn, Svi Mykhailiuk, and a protected 2023 first-round pick. Myles Turner is one of the players who, over the last few years, we've seen his name in trade rumors time and time again, but this offseason, it actually feels like his time in Indiana is up, as they begin to shift into a rebuild, and by doing so, it would be in their best interest to scour the market to see what they could get in exchange for his services. The Raptors, on the other hand, just so happen to be in major need of interior defense and overall help at the center position, so on paper, this is a match made in heaven. Myles Turner going to Toronto seems like a no-brainer here, the more that I think about it, but the issue may come down to the cost of acquiring him. See, in this offer here, the Raptors are trading away mostly players that aren't even in their rotation at all, or players that play sparingly, except for Precious Achiuwa. Achiuwa really started to emerge at the end of last season as a versatile forward that can space the floor with his shooting, and play good versatile defense as well on the other end, so he is no doubt a valuable piece that the Pacers would be interested in, especially because of how young he is. But Turner is one of the best rim-protecting big men in the league right now, and Achiuwa plus one protected first-round pick being the only assets of value in this offer isn't really turning my head. Additional draft capital, or maybe swapping in some different combination of players, could make this trade offer work, because in theory I definitely see why the Raptors would want to bring Turner in. The next proposed trade in the article is between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Utah Jazz, and in it the Jazz trade away Mike Conley in exchange for Jackson Hayes, Devontae Graham, and a future first-round pick. The Jazz are in a strange spot right now after having traded away Rudy Gobert a few days ago, and now they're in the middle of figuring out where they want to go from here. Obviously, they still have Donovan Mitchell, and a lot of the players that they acquired in that Rudy Gobert trade are players that can provide solid depth for a team trying to make the playoffs, but at the same time, they won't be able to replicate the defensive impact that Gobert provided, and without that, their porous defense is set to be even worse. Then their other option is to start transitioning into a mode where they prioritize their future, especially with all of the draft capital that they received from the Gobert trade, and with Mike Conley getting up there in age, it would make sense for them to explore trades for him. In this offer, it's another instance of Bleacher Report actually finding a pretty good match for the player involved, because right now the Pelicans are trending in the right direction, looking to make some noise in the West next year, but have a glaring hole at their point guard spot. They don't need a point guard that dominates the ball, they just need someone who can orchestrate the offense and set up their primary scoring threats like Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and CJ McCollum, which is exactly what Conley can still give you on offense. The Pelicans' defense may be an issue, but they're going all in on building a lethal offensive team, and because Conley's starting to slow down as he ages, he also won't cost that much, so to get him, this might be a deal that could work. The next proposal in the article is between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Utah Jazz, and in it the Jazz receive Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle in exchange for Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, and Rudy Gay. The 76ers have been looking for ways to construct their team around the core of Joel Embiid and James Harden throughout the entire offseason, and they've made a few solid signings by bringing in PJ Tucker and Daniel House so far, but the contract of Tobias Harris still holds them back from spending significant money. Because of this, he has been in trade rumors a ton, as has Matisse Thybulle and his intriguing defensive play style because of the fact that he struggles mighty on the offensive side of the ball, and the Sixers are hoping to find more two-way contributors. On that note, this package put together by the Jazz is filled with a ton of guys who provide the exact scoring punch that the Sixers so desperately need from their pieces around their two stars. Bogdanovic is a much more willing and able spot-up shooter than Tobias Harris is, and Jordan Clarkson would be the best scoring punch that the Sixers have had off of the bench in the entire Joel Embiid era. But the issue comes from the fact that the Sixers have to figure out if this offensive boost is worth the sacrifices on the defensive end, because both Bogdanovic and Clarkson, and even Rudy Gay too, struggle mightily on defense. One of the biggest reasons why the Jazz have been going downhill in recent years is because of their struggles defending the perimeter, and all three of the players in this package contributed to those struggles. Sure, Tobias Harris and his contract aren't ideal, and Matisse Thybulle can be frustrating when he's intentionally left open on offense by the team's defenses that they're playing, but I'm not convinced that this trade makes the Sixers better, and that would be the only reason that the Sixers would want to trade those two. And finally, the last proposal from the article that we'll be discussing today is between the Brooklyn Nets and the Dallas Mavericks, and in it the Mavericks receive Ben Simmons in exchange for Spencer Dinwiddie, Maxi Kleber, and 2 first-round protected picks in the future. Kevin Durant wants to be traded from the Nets, and the Nets want to acquire a star player in any trade they make for him, but their ability to do so is much more difficult because of an obscure NBA rule that does not allow teams to acquire more than one player signed to the designated rookie max contract extension, which is the kind of deal that Ben Simmons is signed to. So if they want to be able to acquire one of the league's best young stars that have recently signed an extension, then Ben Simmons will need to go. But then the issue becomes the fact that Simmons' value is lower than it has ever been, because he has both not played in over a year and now has nagging back issues, so no team is going to want to give up that much in a trade for him because of the risk. The package offered here for Simmons would have been laughed off a year ago, but now it honestly feels generous. The Mavericks were a top 10 defense last season, and with Simmons would have the potential to be even better, but offensively, Simmons would have to play much more off the ball than he's used to playing while alongside Luka Doncic. It's a weird situation where there are hesitations for both teams to engage on a trade like this, despite the value on each side of the offer feeling fair on paper, and the reasoning comes from reasons beyond basketball. But I could only see the Nets doing this if they get desperate to find a trade for Kevin Durant, which I really don't think they are at the moment. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the trades proposed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.